Everybody, welcome back, and please excuse the mess. We're doing a little tidying up around here. I would really like to start up a high-density housing area in the city, and this is a really popular move amongst New England cities. So what happens is the factories close and the warehouses close in a lot of situations, and you're left with these really nice big brick buildings, and they end up getting turned into apartments and condos and lofts and whatever you want to call these things. But I have here this gorgeous set. It's called the Charles Street Manufacturing Set, and if I remember right, they might come out in different colors, so I'll have to overcome that at different times. But we have this gorgeous set that I'm going to be exploring and trying to invent a riverside closed industrial area that has been converted into apartments, as is common in New England. Let's see how that comes together. Going into this, I knew that it came with kind of the main piece and an end piece and a 35-degree angle, so I'm going to be really leaning into that 35-degree angle, that little elbow piece there. But the hard part right now for me was figuring out where is it going to go exactly, and how does that align with the current road network? And I knew I wanted it to be 90 degrees, so I took my time measuring it, and I measured it a couple times, figuring out where it's going to go. Because the buildings would rely on this, the quay would rely on this, so the wall that kind of retains the water, the bridge relies on this. I wanted it to go off that main road, basically. By the end of it, things are actually a bit different by the end than what you even see in the video. Like the drawbridge, the covered bridge disappears in favor of a flat bridge because the covered bridge didn't make sense by the end. I think covered bridges are great, but they don't make sense in higher density sections. That's what I would say about them. They're really good, but they don't make sense next to industry necessarily, because there would probably be a more substantial bridge built. If there's all this industrial stuff going on and all this money flowing, there might be a larger steel bridge going on, something like that. That was coincidental. That road there was just because that corner happened to line up with a pre-existing road. I said, yes, it was meant to be. My 90-degree angles are perfect. That little curve in the road, not curve, but the angle there is that 135 actually on that building. And you can get that using precision engineering. Hold control and go to town. That's it. I'm doing it right there. I'm holding control. It's a bit finicky with keys, because keys are a bit wonky, even with precision engineering, which is a mod that will help you immensely in this game. Get precision engineering. I think it's the most popular workshop item, like 5 years running. But keys are still a bit funky, and they act strangely. They don't act like roads in the water. They're something entirely different. So this is me figuring out the alignment of the buildings. I didn't know at this point how long this was going to go for, but I end up filling in the space on the right with additional buildings by the end. And I'm real happy with how it came out. The whole thing is good. It also ends up with a train station, which I don't even talk about in the filming of this video. I do these voiceovers in post. So I never got a chance to talk about this train station, which actually happened after filming this. I also got I got this terraforming network to fix that bump in the water also. So I'd strongly recommend a terraforming network, and the train station that I use is in the Newmarket asset collection. So there's a collection for the Steam Workshop for you to use. If you want, if you want to make a New England build. I've already done a lot of the legwork, collected a lot of the assets for you. Feel free to indulge. Cool. I'm pretty happy with that for now. I think it's a bit bare, kind of undecorated, but it serves its purpose. So the whole point is ships would have come up the river, or barges, or whatever. Or they might have used it for water power as well, to turn a water wheel, etc. That might have been even older buildings than this. But this definitely would have been taking deliveries, and they would have used probably a bit of a quay lowered down by the water to do that. And you'll see some of these have some of this building is facing backwards. Technically, the front side has these things, I think. But on the sections with doors, there's this little thing. I'm not even sure what that's called. If you know what it's called, let me know. But it's on barns, it's on industrial buildings. It has a little winch on it where you can lower presumably a rope or a cable using a pulley, and then pull it up to different levels so that the second floor can receive a delivery, or the third or the fourth floor can receive a delivery. And this would be a larger door for larger deliveries of goods and such. Smaller doors, of course. But I think that looks pretty true to form. That looks very New England. I opted to put a road around the outside. I would use a path for this. Maybe it will eventually become a path, but for now it's just going to be a road, just because it just has to be for now. If I can get the right asset to pull it off, I will, but ideally it would be a path that comes around on the quay here. But I'll figure that out later. For now, I'd like to add some decorations so it's not so bare, and kind of beautify it a little bit so it's not so stark on the waterfront. Hey, it's Captain Hindsight again. It's YUMBL from the future. I already know where this one is going, and I'll tell you where it's not going. It's not going wherever that gravel road, that elevated gravel road, that is not the move. But what I was trying to do is make that external area useful and make it so vehicles could drive on it and pedestrians could walk on it. But what I really wanted was what I got, actually. By the end, in the opening cinematics, you'll see it. The exterior quay, so that brick surface there ends up walkable, because I go back later. Unfortunately, this is not featured in the video. I didn't have time to include it. But I go back later and I include these invisible pedestrian paths that are on the surface of the quay. So the quay isn't walkable on its own, but with these invisible pedestrian paths, I can make it look like people are walking around on this promenade. And that's the point. That's really the whole thing. I end up adding benches. I end up, here I'm doing lights and beautification and such. But really, it's about this, it's about this space. The whole point of this area is kind of an exercise in building an atmosphere. And it's asking, what would a refurbished, what would a renewed industrial area really have? What amenities might it have? What stuff might it have? And by the end, it's a lot different from what I even expected. I end up adding a train, which I don't talk about verbally during the making of this thing. What else happens? There's a train, there's a couple buildings. The pack got expanded. Oh my god. The pack that I was using, these brick buildings, the St. Charles manufacturing pack, gets expanded the day after I recorded this video. So I even got to use a couple of buildings from the expanded pack, though I don't get to talk about it during the, well, I guess I do now, but during the making of the video, I didn't know. I didn't know that the creator was going to come out with a brand new pack of buildings. So, but yeah, that wooden road ends up disappearing in favor of a pedestrian path that goes around the whole thing. I also end up getting a terraforming network to fix that nonsense on the edge. A terraforming network is great when you've got a building that's poking into the water and it's causing the earth to bend in a way that's not good. If the, let's say the sand is poking out of the water in a strange way, a terraforming network can force the land to move in a way that you cannot terraform. So let that sink in, I suppose. If you haven't run into a situation where you'd like to use that, you may in the near future. So that's also in the Newmarket pack that I'm developing, the Newmarket collection. Enjoy the rest of these details. This is going to be me making a George Washington Park, as well as a park of fallen leaves. I explain it in just a moment, but please feel free to just enjoy the vibe for a little bit. This time I went a little further than I intended. I ended up adding another row of buildings because I figured why not? Like, what am I going to use that space for? Nothing. Let's be real. Nothing. But I wanted to show you what it looks like without the... This is the stock dirt road, that vanilla dirt road network, the same one that actually generates this bridge. I wanted to show you what it looks like without that. I think that that's probably where this is heading. I'll have to do something creative with the terrain to make it work, probably. But I think ideally, and some of you probably already knew this before it happened, ideally this is just a promenade on the waterfront. That's really all I want to happen. Like, this light will probably disappear. The lights... I really like the ball lights in the middle, because that feels like... It feels like something... A new upscale place. This is a renewed neighborhood, we'll call it. It's renewed. You know, we're adding... This is for high-density people who want to move to this area, probably from a bigger area, who want to come down to this spot. So these are probably expensive, and they would probably pick lights that are meant to look old, but are in fact new, and that's what these are supposed to be. Kind of these upscale, yuppie lights behind the buildings. As long as I can get the terraforming completed, which I think would be really great. If I could terraform this properly, I was having issues trying to do it a minute ago. I might have to download terraforming networks, or just get good in general, but it'll work to a point. And actually, that's not terrible. But in reality, this oceanfronty spot, or this riverfront, would have gone right up to the edge of the bricks. So I'm hoping I can adjust that out at some point. But other than that, I think the idea is solid. Get rid of these lights. The area out front, you probably noticed I left a bit of space out front. Delete that using Move It. This is going to be some sort of lawn or park or fountains, etc., and that deserves its own detailing in just a moment. And I'm not sure if I stated this explicitly, but these buildings come in a bunch of different colors, so the trick to getting them to fix is to just reset them until... Wow. I think that almost worked. It's just to keep resetting them. They come in a bunch of different colors, which is great, but I just want them to look like they're made of bricks. So I'll just reset until it looks... There we go. Identical. And it's just luck of the draw. I don't know if there's a better way to do that. Like the colorizing thing, I don't want to tweak the colorizing thing to figure it out. I'd rather just have it go to the stock one. And also, as we copy these, it retains my settings from what's it called? From ploppable Rico / realistic population. I entered those manually during one of the fast forward moments. Let's see if we can make this lawn look really good, and then eventually I'll get some invisible walking paths to make this whole thing walkable, and we'll see what we can make of it. This whole next section is a big detailing fest. It's a big detailing jam sesh. I establish a park on the right side with a statue, and on the left side we end up doing some trees and some parking, and really solidifying the space is what I'd say. I think for many years, not for that many years, for maybe 1 year, I played this game, and it was all about the game of City Skylines. And when I say the game, I mean the arcade game of you start with a highway, you connect a city to the highway, you build a bunch of roads, you make industry, you make commercial, you make residential, you grow as big as you can, you hit milestones, and at some point, it became something different. I did many builds like that. I have a couple videos that I talk about this, but I figured I might as well talk about it here. I realized that the game is a lot more than that. You can paint a city and you can make something you're really proud of, because I'd look back at the end of the city and I'd go, wow, that's a really big city that I built, but there's no part of that city that I want to zoom in on, and there's no part of that city that I want to walk around in. So what I'm really doing here is making a part of the city that I want to enjoy and walk around in, and something interesting, something storied. And I think that's what's missing from some beginner cities, or certainly from my beginner cities at least, where I didn't have any... There was nothing interesting going on in the city. It was just kind of like, okay, how can I unlock the next milestone? How can I want to unlock the incinerator. I know the game. Believe me, I know the game. And the game is unlock the incinerator, unlock the crematorium, unlock high density, unlock the college, like all these things, and you kind of level up and level up. And eventually it became me playing against myself and really figuring out how can I build something that I'm proud of, and how can I learn the systems built into the game, and maybe introduce systems to the game that are not intended, or mechanics that were not intended, or modify the game in a way to make it more challenging in a certain way. I don't think it needs to be much more challenging. I think it can be a very difficult game right out of the box. But once you start treating it as an artistic adventure, it changes it entirely. So my goal now is to create something that looks pretty, that I'm happy with, that is also functional while using realistic population. So I'm boosting the population to make the game harder, and also trying to make something pretty that I'm happy with. There are other mods that do similar things, including like real time. Real time is one that I have downloaded, but I never seem to use it. So I'd like to kick in real time at some point. What that does is it makes the Sims wake up for work and blast your transit system and your road network with people. So when they wake up for work, they're also waking up for school. They're waking up, they're going shopping. They do all this stuff, just like in the real world, where 8 a.m., no matter where you live, I bet 8 a.m. is rush hour. Let me know if it's not. Let me know if I have some wrong notion about the planet, but I'm sure that there's a time where everyone wakes up and they go, hey, we're all going at the same time, because that's how it works here in the US at least. But just adding challenge in certain ways and altering the game, because I've enjoyed the game intrinsically, but now I'm adding details. So you can see we're going for leaves. We're adding bushes, trees, planters, paths. The paths do a little bit for functionality, but the rest of it does absolutely nothing, and I think that speaks volumes. That's where the art of the game comes in. Because it's a beautiful traffic simulator, and you can paint the city however you want within this traffic simulator. So I think it's beautiful to make something functional. I would never limit the simulation, I don't think, at least. I don't really want to limit the simulation to anything. I want to expand upon it. I want it to be more challenging. And within that, if I can make something pretty that I'm happy with, then that's just as good as it gets. Pick a theme. I don't think every city has to have some huge major concept, but a concept can help answer questions that you don't know you had. I actually have a video called, oh goodness, I forget what it's called, but it's all about planning a city. I'll link it up in the corner right now, hopefully, if I remember. But it's all about planning your build and planning a city concept and planning how you want to approach it. And if you want it to be totally vanilla and playing against the computer, then that's fine. But once you start getting some mods and assets and maybe a concept under your belt, you can really get creative with it. And I think it becomes a very beautiful thing at that point. Enjoy George Washington Park. Enjoy the enjoy the promenade on the left that starts forming as well. I'll talk to you again in a few minutes. I think that's pretty cool. Not too bad. I added benches to the edges here. You probably saw me doing that. I think I recorded that. This came out pretty good, I think. Just a bit of a promenade going through here. Some central parking to hopefully serve the entire thing, with the option for street parking if they want in certain sections, but not directly in front of the building. But yeah, I think that's a good use of this part of the riverfront. I'd like to do more things like this, though I don't want to line the entire river with buildings. I think that's kind of silly. But I'd like to be cognizant that the riverfront is valuable property and there might be old buildings that get repurposed. Or maybe there's active industry in some parts. I'm not even sure yet. I think George Washington came out pretty good. Little George Washington Park, couple benches, a nice photo op with the background of the old buildings. I don't know, maybe this got moved here. Maybe maybe George was somewhere else and he got put in this place instead, or maybe it was always here. I don't know. We'll figure out the lore as we go. But I think the whole thing is pretty cool overall. It's a good use of space. It's a good use of this building. These are from Rhode Island, I think. What were they called? St. Charles Manufacturing Buildings. But yeah, that is going to conclude this episode. I'm really happy with this. We probably got a couple hundred people moved into the city as a result of it. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. Also, feel free to subscribe to the channel if you like how the city is going, or if you want any more cool tutorials, let me know, things like that. We also have a Discord. Feel free to join the Discord for community and memes and such, and you can share your city. Also, I have Instagram and Twitter, and I stream on Twitch twice a week. Everybody, thank you for hanging out. Thanks for enjoying the build. I've been YUMBL. I'll see you in the next stream or the next video.